So we are here today with our global CFO, Dave Root. Dave, thank you so much for joining us.
Yeah, thank you for having me. It's great to be here.
Anytime. So Dave, to kickstart us off, what do you think is the future of learning and development, and how can organizations best prepare themselves?
That's a big question. But what we're hearing from our clients is that learning and development is more and more being focused on corporate culture. So what's the culture of our business, the culture of the corporation? And we need to make sure that learning and development connects with that culture. And also that when we're considering learning and development, we're considering the whole person. So not just what are they doing at work, are they getting the results that we want them to get, but more about the entirety of the person. So an example would be, you have a performance issue at work. Person comes in, you want them, they're late. And instead of saying, okay, why are you late? Get back to work. There's more of an empathy component because we need to keep the people. So we're saying, let's look at why are they late? What's going on in their personal life? What's happening at home? Not just you're late, come to work on time. So that whole person is something that companies are much more concerned about. Not just because they care about the person, but that's what is expected. We won't keep our employees. So employee retention is really critical. We're seeing that historical learning isn't as sticky if there's not some fun involved. So people are expecting fun. Whether that's getting together as a team, going out, doing things together, or as we do, experiential learning, so that there's actually a fun component to it, is something that's really needed nowadays. It's pretty much an expectation. And we're hearing a lot about micro-learning. So not just the session itself or teaching somebody something, but how do we make it sticky? So a lot more small little bites of learning over time to make sure that it retains and sticks. So that's some of what we're hearing. So when we think about what do we need to do to prepare, I think it's, consider the whole person. How do we make it sticky? The micro-learnings over time. Connect it to culture. Those would be the big ones. Yeah.
Can you describe one of your most successful journeys that you've gone on with a client, and how did it affect them financially?
So one of the most memorable and successful journeys I've ever been involved with was with a company in the oil and gas industry. And it was around safety. So how do we get people to actually want to be safe? So safe by choice, how can we be safe? And it was memorable because it made a massive difference. People being able to get the visceral understanding that I need to take care of the other people in the business. So it's good to speak out. I want to be safe and I want to keep others safe. So just the seeing the results of that in the people was really exciting. For the C-suite, it was exciting because it actually had a massive financial impact. So safety not only keeps people safe, it affects the bottom line. So if you think oil and gas, if you have a truck and they're driving down the road and the guy falls asleep because he's not being safe or is working too many hours and it flips, there goes millions of dollars. If there's an accident that happens, there's downtime. Downtime is money, and it's bad PR, which is money, affects stock price. So in most any training we do, specifically this one, you could really see the financial impact. It was easy to measure. You have, less hours of accident time, less accidents, more profit.
How do you measure the ROI of a learning and development program, and what are the metrics that you use to evaluate it?
That's a tricky question because it depends on what the client wants and what they're trying to measure. But some of the things we look at are things like increased engagement. So if we do the learning, are we getting increased engagement from our employees? We think about, is the learning sticking? So, the learning we want it to be for the long term. So if we're seeing it stick and it's lasting, there's ROI there. We think about, is it connecting with real life for the people? So is it actually making a difference in connecting with the work they're doing? We're not just teaching them a concept, but is it connecting with their work and themselves? Are they actually retaining the knowledge? You know, are we teaching them and they get the concept and they forget the learning decay? Or is it sticking? So that's something that we look at and you want to measure. And probably the thing that people look at most is, how's it impacting the business? So you can put some financial metrics in place. That's a hard thing to do because there's so many other factors. Is it the training that made the difference? Is it the markets that are making the difference? But there are some things that you can track financially. But you can also track things like, is there decrease in customer complaints? Is our processes more efficient? So, and again, it would vary customer to customer, and depending on what do you want to measure, what is the outcome that you really care about? And that's typically how we would measure.
As Eagles Flight, how do we best work with all of the stakeholders across an organization to ensure that each of the learning outcomes and all of everything that we do actually is fully integrated into a company's culture, vision, mission? What does it look like?
Okay. So how we make sure it happens is we work with the leaders. So we ensure we actually train the leaders and make sure that they're not only understanding it, but that they're modeling what we want them to do, that they have the information in a way that they can coach the people to make sure that whatever we're teaching happens, and then have the systems in place to require it. And we call that model, coach, require. So model the behavior, coach the people, and make sure they do it. I think we put performance management systems in place to make sure that the people are doing what they need to do. So things like setting corporate objectives with people, making sure that everyone is aligned and knows what they should be doing, not only with their boss, but also with their peers. So vertically and horizontally. Yeah, and just making sure their objectives are really clear.
So as Eagles Flight, we truly believe in the power of learning and development, and we truly do believe that we can change behavior to improve performance.
Yeah.
So what are we as an organization doing to train our people?
Great question. So I think training our people is it's critical and crucial and something we focus on. So we take our own people through our own programs. That's one thing that we do. We have very clear learning objectives for people. So everyone in the organization has objectives they need to do, and it's not just things they need to do from making sure they get their work done, but learning. So what things should they learn? Do they need to learn? I think there's an issue around talent. That's a global issue. So businesses are having a problem with talent, getting talent, retaining talent, and the amount of time it takes to find them. But talent doesn't stick. If you can keep someone for 3 years now, you're doing really, really well. Where in the past, people were staying 20, 25 years in a job. It's not the way it is anymore. It's much more transactional. So the challenge is, and we've been very fortunate at Eagles Flight, we've got some long tenure, but it's through really working with our people to make sure that they're happy, the culture is strong, we meet their objectives, they have a learning path and a career path. So how do you manage that? So, I think that's a huge problem people are facing, and I think we're sometimes resigned to the fact that, okay, if we get 3 years, they're doing well. But I do believe that if we do a really good job, we can get longer out of our people. You can have people stay longer. There's no reason you should lose them in 3 years. So.